Hey guys, and welcome back to Unified Gaming. Now if this is your first time here, and you enjoy watching ESO gameplay, seeing new builds, or just want to get better at ESO itself, then start by subscribing now and clicking the bell so you don't miss anything. Now today guys, I'm going to share with you my one-of-a-kind Stamina Warden PvP build. I've never seen anybody run this set combination. This is truly special. It is designed for the Dragonhold patch from the ground up. It uses a 2H and a bow. You could go 2H and sword and shield if you prefer. You will see that it has an insane stat sheet with nearly 30 hit 1000 armour fully buffed up, as well as major evasion and minor protection just for good measure. This means we are incredibly tanky, and that we can just simply outheal a lot of the incoming damage as long as we keep our defensive buffs up. But what is really surprising is that this is a medium armour build, and on top of that we have nearly 32,000 health and CP Cyrodiil, and again that's in medium armour. That's just stupid. But beyond the defences and all that good stuff there, we have a really respectable stamina pool, and we have great sustain as we're in medium armour with nearly 1900 regen, and that's before the Betty and all the cost reductions that come with medium armour. So what this means is that we actually have really good movement speed because of the passives. We can roll dodge quickly and cheaply, we can spam our skills with the cost reduction, and on the whole we don't really get penalised too harshly for using our stamina really sort of aggressively. Simply put, if we tried to do this in heavy armour, we would not be able to move as fast, recover as quick, we wouldn't be able to roll dodge, and we'd be much more reliant on heavy attacks for sustain, and that will make us slower. What makes this just bonkers though is that we have nearly 5,500 weapon damage, and obviously this can go up to 5,800 with continuous attacks and buffs. This means that we have a ridiculously high amount of resistances, but we are hit stupidly hard as well for that. This is truly a one-of-a-kind Stamina Warden build that if you play it well, you will be really hard to take down, and you can turn around and nuke people really fast. And like with all my builds, this works in CP Cyrodiil, no CP Cyrodiil, as well as battlegrounds with very few tweaks if any. This build really highlights what the Warden is capable of, so I hope you enjoy it and find it useful. And for those people going, I want a bit more damage or I want a bit more sustain, I've got two variations as well to kind of give you some options, so there's loads of choices. Anyway, as with all of my build videos, I put an animation in the top left that will show you where we are in the video, so you can find the part that is useful for you. As I said though, this is a one-of-a-kind build, so I would recommend watching the entire video so you don't miss anything, and if you haven't done so already, then subscribe by clicking the bottom right button on screen now, and maybe share this video with a friend or two or with some people in your guild. It will help out me and it will help out the channel and it will help out them. Now for me, I feel that a Nord is the best race for this kind of playstyle. It gives us health and resistances to cold, max stamina and ultimate generation, and physical and spell resistances. This allows medium armor to be tanky regardless of kind of what sets we run, so this is a very good race. If you want to have a bit more damage, go as an orc. If you want a bit more movement speed and sustain, go as a wood elf. Alternatively, you could go as a dark elf for a bit more max magicka, allowing you to use your utility skills a bit more frequently. All in all though, from testing, I personally enjoy the Nord. I think that's the best race for this, but if you do want to have a different race, you will need to accommodate kind of that racial flavour and kind of what the Nord gives, and kind of a change of glyphs and Munderstone accordingly to kind of get the build kind of where it should be. But as I said, Nord for me is personally the best in slot for this. As for the skills, we use Dizzy and Swing as our spammable, does damage and can set people off balance, allowing us access to a stun with a heavy attack or medium attack. Subterranean Assault is a delayed burst ability. This hits really hard and it also adds penetration for us, so again more damage. Executioner obviously is our execute, that hits really hard when they're below sort of 50% health. Rally is our burst heal. It also gives us extra stamina, sustain, which is great. You could use the mushrooms instead. Bird of Prey is our movement buff, but we have it mainly for the minor berserk passive, as well as the animal companions passive down here, giving us extra damage just for having it slotted. As for the ultimate on the front bar, I use Onslaught or Dawnbreaker depending on what I feel. Onslaught's great for battlegrounds and kind of for group play. Dawnbreaker's very good to kind of stun people if you kind of find it hard to land that sort of medium weave on the Dizzy and Swing. As for the back bar, we have Ice Fortress, just simply an armor buff and minor protection, great skill here. We have Shuffle as our snare immunity, allowing us to move around the battlefield quickly, and it gives us major evasion. We have Shimmering Shield. This makes us immune to ranged attacks, and it gives us loads of ultimate, which is brilliant. We use Bullnetch. This is obviously our weapon damage and also stamina sustain. It's a purge as well. And we use Vigor. This is a nice heal over time. And for the ultimate in the back bar, I use Healing Thicket, as that's a really good oh-no button for both you and your team. And it gives you a nice hot that you can kind of walk in, walk out, and you still heal yourself over a couple seconds. And on top of that, it's dirt cheap, so really, really good ultimate here. If you want to mix things up, a couple changes hit on the front bar. Rally could be changed for the mushrooms, so I use Soothing the Spores just because I don't have Rally on the live server, but Rally is for stamina sustain. Mushrooms is kind of an all-no burst heal instantly. You could go with Green Lotus if you prefer and have more passive healing as well as Major Savagery, so more damage there. Some people do go with Living Vines and then go with Leeching Vines. I'm not a fan personally, but that's kind of up to you. For me though, it will be Mushrooms or Rally. As for the ultimate, as I said, it's Onslaught or Dawnbreaker. Back bar wise, skills stay pretty much the same apart from Shimmering Shield. I personally would keep Shimmering Shield, but you could change it for Growing Swarm, which will add a nice damage over time to one person, an AoE dot kind of to anybody near them, and it will also give them minor vulnerability, giving you more damage, which is just great. So that's kind of a really offensive playstyle, especially good in duels. But as I said, I prefer Shimmering Shield, it's just much better in all honesty for defense and ult gen. You could change the tree ult if you don't like it and go, oh, actually I don't need that healing, and you could run Winter's Embrace and go with Sleet Storm. And you ideally want Permafrost just because of the snare. It's a nasty snare that will work really well in group play, and it's major protection for 9 seconds, so really, really good sort of group skill there. Go through combos at the end of the video, so do stay tuned so you don't miss that. And as I said, if you haven't subscribed already, do so. So the sets are really simple for today, guys, but really unique, and it's just pay attention to the monster. That's the important part, okay? Shacklebreaker, 2H Maul, Nernhound, and we want Absorb Stamina on this. Back bar, we use Armour Master. We have enough defense, so we've gone with Infused, and we've gone weapon damage here, so that's how we get our weapon damage buff, and it's a lot higher. We then run Bloodspawn, again, medium armour, so that's the important part. Bloodspawn has to be medium for this, or whatever monster set you pick has to be medium, okay? Bloodspawn and Fury. So in case you're unsure, it's Shacklebreaker 2H, Armour Master on the back bar, whether that's a sword and shield if you prefer, or a bow, it's up to you. Then we've gone with Bloodspawn and Fury. In order to make this work, we've gone with medium head, medium shoulders, we've then gone with Armour Master waist, hands and feet. That's 5 then. And we've gone with 2 heavy pieces because we needed 2 body pieces for Fury, so we went with chest and legs to min-max the resistances even further. As for the glyphs, you want Tri-Stat on all the big pieces, so head, chest and legs. If you want to put Tri-Stat on the small pieces, you can. You'll get a bit more health and a bit more Magicka, but you will lose stamina. Personally, I've gone with stamina at the moment on the live server, and that works absolutely fine. It just means I can't use the Crystallized Shield as often as I would like, but I have a slightly bigger stamina pool to work with, so there's pros and cons, so that's personal choice. But Tri-Stat on the big pieces is a minimum. As for the jewellery, it is 3 Fury, all infused. Again, if you want a bit more stamina, just change 1 to robust. You need at least 2 of them to be infused though, otherwise the damage is a little bit too low. Now if you're unaware of what Fury does, this is kind of delayed damage, so when you get hit, you get more and more damage, it builds up, and then you have a massive amount of damage for about 5-10 seconds, and you can really nuke somebody. Obviously with this current build, we have almost 5,400, 5,600 when we get fully buffed up, which is just ridiculous. With continuous, it's up to 5,800, so we have more than enough damage with 37k resistances. If you wanted a bit more burst though straight away, so if you look at our damage at the moment, so we go to our Betty, go to our front bar, we have 3,912, that's before our enchantment. When we proc this enchantment, which is obviously easy to do as it's a bow, we then go up to almost 5,000 on the front bar, so it's like 4,000 to put on again. There we go. So you'll see it's almost 4,000 there, it's like 4,500 with the enchantment active. As soon as we get hit with Fury, we go over 5,000 really quick. If they wanted to be really bursty and have even higher just damage straight away, you could drop Bloodspawn and run 1 Veladreth and 1 Keener. Balog would work as well, but basically 2 1 pieces that give you weapon damage. What this will do is this will allow you to be incredibly bursty from the get-go, so this is great for kind of people wanting to use crit rush, get in, kill somebody, get out fast. You've got enough resistances to survive thanks to Armour Master. So we go Ice Fortress, Armour Master, which is another armour buff, and they both stack. You see 132k armour on the back bar, even with this high weapon damage spec. you put your thing on, and you can see on the front bar we have 4,260. With our enchantment it's almost 5,000, and that's without any fury stacks. So with this setup you get almost 6,000 weapon damage before continuous, which is just really silly. You do however lose obviously 6,000 armour, so there is a trade-off there. The last setup that I have for you, which is something that you can do, and I tried it, you could go with Bloodspawn, and then I went with New Moon just to try it. I found that New Moon, although it looks really good on paper, it's not as good as it seems, but it does work. To make this work, you go New Moon, and you want potentials on the back bar to help make up for some of the lost defense that you will lose from dropping Armour Master. You then have to have a New Moon chest, New Moon legs, and I had New Moon feet. This then gives us 5 pieces, and you'll see that now our skills are more expensive. This includes roll dodging, blocking, ultimate, every skill you can do. Any kind of action you do is more expensive. To help offset that then, I then would recommend using Battlefield Acrobat, and this is a really good setup for battlegrounds. So if you're wanting to just do battlegrounds only or no CP, Battlefield Acrobat and New Moon is really strong. So I'd recommend doing that if you're somebody who's just dedicated on no CP and nothing else. Now with all of it though, make sure that you have impenetrable. So see this says divines. If you have anything that is divines, change it. Just a little heads up there, some people keep forgetting that and you do take a lot of extra damage. First setup, as I said, is so much better for kind of that open world, battlegrounds, kind of a jack of all trades. Really good burst, gets even more burst as you take damage. This is just a very instant burst and a bit more damage overall. As you'll see, if we go to here, we're on 3,900, so a lot more already. With the bow it's 4,600, so this is a lot higher, but an extra 150 to 200 weapon damage. But you lose a lot of resistance. You do however gain better stam management from this, so this is a great battleground alternative. As for our consumables, I've tried loads of different options here, as you can see on the PTS. Our Tame Takeaway Broth, in all honesty, is the best. There's kind of no beating around, and that is the best for this kind of playstyle. Okay, if you can't afford this because it is really expensive, I'm using it on the live server Dubious currently because obviously I'm quite skint. I spent like 500,000 just getting all my Fury stuff ready because it was obviously so expensive on PC. So Dubious is a good alternative for this. So Artaeum if you've got the gold, Dubious if you don't have the gold, basically. Those are your options. Potions are simple, Tri-Stat, or you go Essence of Immovability, which is health, stamina and CC immunity. Potions nice and simple. As for the character sheet and kind of our Munderstone, I went with the recovery. I like having a little bit of extra recovery, so that's 1,700 before our rally, 1,800 and something, so it's almost 1,900. So nice and good. If you feel that actually you can sustain with less, then obviously that works for you, then I would recommend just going the warrior and have even more damage. So that's an option there for you, okay? As for the champion points, like with all of my builds, I do min-max them, and obviously these are what work for me, so obviously do take it with a pinch of salt, okay? Pause where you see it's fit. I will just note whatever's important, okay? If you can get wind running, it's up here. This works really well if you're an orc especially. It works well as a Nord as well, so that's just a useful thing to have in medium armour. I've split it here, so I've gone a bit more tumbling and a bit more shadow ward, so that way we can block to reduce damage, but we can also roll dodge pretty cheap because we've got roll dodge passives already for medium. Went a little bit in blessed, there's one spare point, so that's why it's 20, and the jump point is 19, so there's a spare point which we can allocate anywhere. Besides weapon, just get a bit more damage on our sort of light and heavy attacks. 72 here, so just loads of damage here. 55 is the jump point, by the way, so that's just something to bear in mind. And these are all pretty much the same. If you can, try and get Unchained. This is a phenomenal. When you CC break, you get basically a free ability. So this is great for a free burst heal from Rally or from Vigor or from the Mushroom heal. Spare points in here just for a bit more healing received. You can move these if you like. I just like them in there. So in this section, I'm going to go through and give you some sort of tips and tricks, just what I've picked up from playing the class and just general things to make your life a little bit easier on the Stamdon itself. Okay. Now, Ball Netch, really good ability, stamina and sort of weapon damage, but it's also a purge, so if you spam cast it, it gets rid of one effect every time you do it. And it also gives us a really mini heal, so we can basically use this between fights, so when we're running from one tower to another, and get some free healing basically, and get rid of one effect each time we do this. This is completely free to do, so it's definitely worth doing it, and you'll see I do this in a lot of my footage. As for the armour buff, you have two options though. You've got Ice Fortress, which is just our major resolve and major ward, and you have Shuffle, which procs Armour Master for 10 seconds. When they're together, we're really, really tanky before blood spawn. So it means that we've got loads of resistances, which is great. And if for some reason we're fighting, say, a Magicka class, we don't always need to use the Ice Fortress straight away. We could instead use the slabs, and that will absorb all ranged projectiles, which is pretty much most Magicka abilities in this game. So it makes things like sorcerers and nightblades have a real difficulty trying to kill you. The real ones that will kind of be able to bypass that will be obviously the Magicka Templar and Magicka DK. So if you see kind of a Magicka sorcerer or Magicka nightblade, just put slabs on. They can't hit you now. It's really, really strong against those classes. It's not bad against the Necromancer either, because the only thing that can hit you then is Blast Bones. Again, that's really buggy, so most of their abilities can't hit you then if you keep this thing up, which is really, really strong. As the Templars can hit you, Magicka Wardens can hit you with their Deep Fissure. They can't hit you with any other ability though, because this will absorb kind of the Cliff Racer and everything. It also absorbs False Pulse too, so it's a really, really strong ability. So that means if my target was, say, a Magicka and they were casters, so they weren't a Templar, they weren't a DK, it was pretty obvious what they were, I would simply just go Shuffle. I don't need to use my Ice Fortress because I want to keep my Magicka for my slabs, and that way I can't be hit. I might be able to reduce the damage with Ice Fortress, or take no damage with slabs. Taking no damage is a lot better than taking damage and being able to reduce it a little bit. Okay, so that's just kind of an option there. If you are going against kind of a Magicka Templar or Magicka DK or just anything stamina, your go-to then is Ice Fortress, okay? You then put Shuffle on as extra defense if you need it to. If you get stunned in battlegrounds or in Cyrodiil especially, and you CC break, you generally want to push Vigor or push Shuffle. Shuffle will stop you from being snared, so you then get out of there because you're in medium armor, so you can get away really quick. And it also means that you get extra armor as well by pushing that skill, so it kind of does two jobs. It gets us away from the situation, and it makes us tankier in the process, so it's a really good skill with Armor Master. So that's kind of how you use the back bar, kind of effectively, really. You'll see that I do use Vigor as well, and I roll dodge with Vigor. As for the ultimate, as I've said, it could be trees, or it could be permafrost. I prefer trees, and I use trees kind of as an all no button basically, so I'd fire them and they fire where I look. So a lot of times just look down and fire it and you're good to go. As for the front bar and kind of doing damage on here, what I would do is I normally push my Betty on the back bar so I'm ready, see my target, I then light attack on the bow, that procs my weapon enchant and it's still active over here. So we're now on 4,500 weapon damage, it's just really, really high as I said. So look at that. This is before Fury by the way, so Fury would make this go even higher. And then we just simply go to the target. So you go Subterranean Assault. You can do a light or a heavy attack if you want. Enter Dizzying Swing. If you happen to be closer before that, you could do it at point blank the light attack to get the weapon enchant. You do want it on. It does make a big difference to the damage. You then go Subterranean Assault, Dizzying Swing, charge heavy attack, stun. And then it'll be stunned by the heavy attack. And you can do Executioner if you want. If you notice, I tap block when I push Executioner, so it lands like, so it lands pretty quick. If I let it play out, it does it quite slow. So if you get quick with it, it does it really fast, as you can see. So it's skill, block. You can't do that with Dizzying Swing, by the way. So the main combo is buff up, light attack, Beetles, heavy attack if they're away from you, dizzy, heavy, dizzy again, execute, they're dead most of the time. You can then go for another dizzy if they're not dead and execute again, if they put a shield on or something. If they're really low health and they're a Magicka class with, say, 30% health or less, just use Executioner. Don't worry about any other skill, it will hit hard enough. If for some reason you think, oh, they keep spamming shields and I can't get them down, just use Dizzy and Swing again. Heavy attack, Executioner, Executioner, block. So you want to try and get this in quick, okay? And you can chuck in a light attack as well if you're sort of sneaky with it. The last combination you can do, this is just basically instant burst, just go up to them and just basically one bang them. You buff up like normal, you see the target, you get to this range, you do Subterranean Assault, and you go up and push Onslaught onto them first before Dizzy and Swing. If you time it right, Dizzy and Swing will then, and Subterranean Assault will go off with 100% penetration, and then it will just bypass all of their armor and it will hit them ridiculously hard. So go here, onslaught, dizzying swing, bang, and they're dead. And that would normally kill them. So that's kind of like how you go offensively. It's a really, really nasty sort of setup, kind of how this works. So if you're somebody who prefers to use Dawnbreaker, you still buff up. You do light attack on the bow, procs your enchant. Your damage is slightly higher this time because Dawnbreaker's passives and so on. But as it's ready now, Dawnbreaker's facing an instant stun. Although it's like a 0.4 second cast on it, it's a stun and it's an AoE stun and it's a nasty dot. So you go up to the target, you do your normal buff up, you do your combo, and then you can chuck in a heavy attack there to stun them, but instead of doing a heavy attack that time, you do your combo, you do dizzy and swing, and then Dawnbreaker, and then dizzy again and execute. So you kind of use the Dawnbreaker as your stun instead of doing a medium sort of weave to try and stun them and hope it catches them. Dawnbreaker will catch them from quite far away, and it will just knock them straight to the floor, and they're pretty much free AP from that point. Now I'm going to wrap the video up here, guys. So I'm going to thank you guys for watching. If you do obviously like ESO gameplay, seeing new builds and just content and so on, then obviously subscribe, click on the bell notification because I post regular ESO content, especially PvP builds. Got a few more coming. And if you want to help me out or help the channel out, donate on our Patreon or just send materials and gold to obviously me directly in game. Obviously all that stuff's in the description. But with that said, I'm going to call it there as I said. So I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Take care guys and bye.